this is strange. This feels like my first time doing this, but I don't think it is. I actually don't know. But I am going to do a 2024 Techo Kaigi. A word that I only just recently learnt that. I feel silly. I'm very much not in the planner world. I'm just kind of in my own bubble, just doing what I want. But I have been watching videos lately, and I feel like I'm learning a lot from planner people here on YouTube. But this is my planner lineup pretty much for 2024. I just want to start with what I'm currently using, but I wanted to give you some background, like context of what I currently use, why I need planners, and kind of just where I started. So this is what I'm using right now. Very simple, nothing too crazy. And I just have like paper everywhere, but I just wanted to start with like, this is so funny to me because if you showed me this like 3 years ago, 5 years ago, I would not believe it that I am consistently using pretty much all of these journals, because I started with a ring planner, and even before that, just like notebooks here and there. Like I really wasn't consistent at all. Like journaling is something that I've always really loved. Like most people, I kept a diary when I was younger, but I never really finished a single book. I don't think I've ever really finished a book. And I didn't expect, like as an adult, to be so into journaling. I just didn't know it was a thing back when I was younger. So this is like just ultimate childhood dream right here. But I started with a ring planner as my just like catch-all everyday planner. And it pretty much had almost everything here. But I realized that I much prefer notebooks. As much as I still love ring planners, I think they are so beautiful. They're just such a vibe. In terms of like what I need, I find notebooks just so much more accessible and easy. It just works better for me because I'm really not, I just can't be too, I don't know what the word is. I can't be too precious about my notebooks and my journals. As you can see, they're not like, you know, I'm not keeping them in really good condition. I'm not a collector of any kind. So I feel like my approach to journaling and planners is somewhere in the middle of just like really simple and easy, but like still some nice paper. So yes, I have evolved from pretty much like not using up a single notebook ever to like consistently using up several notebooks in a year and using multiple notebooks at the same time. This is really surprising to me, and I've never done a lineup video before because I've never needed to. I'm pretty sure this is the first year that I've ever planned out what I'm going to use for the next year, because it used to just be like, yeah, I'll just use whatever notebook I have lying around and that's it. But I've made a lot of progress using up old notebooks. So I am a notebook hoarder. I'm just a hoarder of stationery in general. So I haven't really been buying any planners because my goal was always just to use up what I currently have. So I actually did make really good progress, but my friend sent me a bunch of her old notebooks that she didn't want and she wasn't going to use. So I was in the process of using that up, but I've made really, really good progress. And this is, yeah, the first year that I don't really have that many notebooks left. And I'm kind of moving into a new system. All right, so I'm going to go into it. I don't really have a structure for this video. I think it's going to be pretty long. I don't know. I'm just going to talk. I'm going to wing it. So get your drink of choice. I've got my water here, my warm water, and I've got the candle burning for aesthetics, but I'm going to go, this is not really in any order, but I'm going to talk about what I'm currently using. Oh, this is not meant to be in the pile. Oh, that's where this pen was. I have been looking for this pen for the past few days. Okay, this is in the wrong pile. This is meant to be my 2024 pile. So this is what I am currently using, I think. Yes, this is what I'm currently using. And this one are both semi-new. So actually, I really was only using these two for most of the year. Not these two particular journals, but the function of them. So what I use is based on the function of, what is my sentence? I choose planners based on the function rather than choosing the planner and then deciding what to put in it. I mean, I do that sometimes, but this is my approach. So I like to have this pocket-sized kind of, is it pocket-sized? I think it's pocket-sized. A7? I'm not sure. This one is from Dear Bambino Art. Have I been using it upside down? I think so. Oh my god, I've been using it upside down. I guess it doesn't really matter. This is probably meant to be more of a sketch art journal from Dear Bambino Art. She's an artist from Sydney. She also has a shop on Etsy. So this is completely handmade, and she painted this cover, which is just absolutely beautiful. I love that it's handmade. The blankness is, like, the blank pages are a little tough for me, I've realized. I don't write too wonky. I think that's actually pretty good, but I'm getting ahead of myself. I use this for daily tasks. So this was the first book that kind of came about because I was using this so consistently in my ring planner. I would just print out little inserts and just write out to-do lists. And I've experimented with so many different systems, and we all need different things, but this is the system that really, really worked for me. I need just a dedicated page for a single day. And it's evolved a little bit over time. And I've just got a bunch of scrap paper and stickers in the front, but it's kind of a summary of my day. But I've also started to add like notes about my day, like little highlights. I track water, which I've stopped doing because I use an app on my Apple Watch now. I track Instagram posts. Like, it's just basically for planning out my day. And it's a mix of business and personal. But pretty much this is like my ultimate planner because I need to see exactly what I'm doing that day. For example, I will flip to today. For example, I've written down here to film the 2024 Techo Kaigi. This morning I planned out my content schedule for YouTube videos just really roughly. And I also stuck down some stickers. I just had this whole moment where I really wanted to do that, so I just wrote that down as a note. So my key is just like, if it's just a note or a highlight, I used to use dashes, but I felt like, I don't know, it didn't look very nice. So I changed to using the asterisks. Why is that so difficult for me to say? Asterisk. That's a tongue twister. But yes, I just use this star now. And what I do is I just record daily highlights during the day. And at the end of the week, I move those highlights to my week planner, which I will show you in a second. But yeah, this one's really, really simple. Not anything complicated. I just put down any daily tasks in here and also daily notes and memories. And I've started recently expense tracking in here as well. I just find this like just my everyday planner, and it's really helpful for me to get stuff done. And I use the typical like bullet journal key like system where like if I haven't done the task, then I do a little arrow and then I migrate it to the next day. So I typically love crossing off tasks, but I had to like unlearn that because it only makes sense to cross it off if I haven't done it and then I move it to the next page. So everything that you see just has a tick if I've done it that day. But I did decide to change that because it's just easier to see what I've done. Whereas if I've crossed it off, you can't really see what you did that day. So yes, I had to fight against my instincts for that. But anyway, this works really, really well. I'm not really going to change anything about it. I started this in, is that the first page? Yeah, 18th of September. And now we're in November, and I use it up really quickly because you use up pretty much a day, like a page every single day. On some Sundays, I don't use it because Sundays are just like home, life admin, cleaning, reset days. So there's not always a lot of work that needs to be done. I might combine Saturday with Sunday sometimes. But yes, that's pretty much what that is. This is like not very pretty. It's just a little workhorse for me to get things done. So that is my daily task planner. This is my current Morning Pages journal. Morning Pages is another kind of like journal system. I don't know the terms. Again, I'm not in the planner community, so forgive my like lack of knowledge around this. But my Morning Pages is another consistent, stable planner system that's been working really well for me. I pretty much write on 2 pages every single day. Again, except Sundays and other days where I might be working outside the house if I go to a cafe. But it is pretty much, I've already pre-decorated some of these pages, but it's pretty much just one double page, one spread per day. That's what works for me. It seems pretty manageable. one page seems a little too little and 2 pages is like just enough to get my thoughts out. I think next year I'm not going to use any stickers. It's a good opportunity to use it now because I have so many stickers and I really do need to use it up. But I will talk about that a little bit later. I'm not really going to show you what I write because it's not necessarily like private, but it's just not meant for anyone to see. And I don't even read it back because that's not the purpose of morning pages. I can do another video just going more into depth about like why morning pages, like how I use it and why I feel like it's been really useful for me. I have no idea how long I've been doing it now. I want to say at least 2 years. But I think this is such a vital, what's the word? It's just been so key in my like creative journey and my business practice. Like I just feel like this really, really helps. But I'm just going to show you like it's just writing pretty much. And it's just like a morning brain dump. It's how I start my morning. This is the very first thing that I do at my desk before I do any work. If I'm feeling especially stressed, I will write in I write all the to-dos for the day first, and then I will do a morning pages. But generally I figure out my priorities for the day in here as well. But yeah, it's just pretty much a brain dump, but this is simple. I don't really love this journal. Again, this is just a journal for my friend that I'm trying to use up. I like the pages, but the gap between the lines is a little too big. I don't have really small writing. I don't know, something about the spacing I don't really like, but it's just a generic journal books. Just a generic notebook that I wanted to use up, but I'm almost done. And because I just really need to know, I always count the pages to see how long it will last me. And where did I write it? Did I not write it? Oh, I put it on a post-it note. This is really extra, please don't laugh. I like to see how many pages are left. So this says 33. I started with 40 and then I just kind of like keep track of the number left. I just really like to know how many days I have left of this book. It's just really satisfying to me to know, like, because if I didn't have this, I'd be counting it pretty much every day. I just get really excited about using things up. I think because I've been so committed to using things up that like it's just really satisfying to have a tracker, some sort of measurement. So this is what I use. I'll change that to 32 tomorrow and then I'll move it to the next page. This is completely unnecessary. It's just fun and very satisfying for me, but I've only got about 32 pages left. And I think if I ask Siri to calculate it for me, what is 33 days from today? So I should finish Thursday, 21st of December. Thank you, Siri. So that's kind of perfect. I don't want to start a new morning page journal this year. I'd rather leave it until next year. So around that time, we'll be busy family things anyway. So I think that works out pretty well. But that's the morning pages journal. Really simple, nothing fancy. Not meant to be looked back on at all. It's just the practice of like clearing my mind for the day. Okay, so these two planners are from Muji. I don't take very good care of my planners. They just get really dirty on my desk. And also like I am like an avid hand lotion user, so it just sticks to everything. But these planners are from Muji and I didn't really know how I would feel about this, but I really wanted just a better view of my weekly and monthly. Still right now, I don't have a good system for weekly and monthly, so I'm still trying to figure it out. But after using this for a few months now, this is way too big for me. This A5 size is just way too big, and I wish that I got, I mean, they're so thin anyway, it's basically the same thing, but I wish I got the undated, I mean, these are undated, but the A6 one, where it's I think it's a week on 2 pages, because this is 2 weeks on 2 pages. It's a week per page. And I quickly realized that I really didn't like this layout at all. So I'm going to show an example of like what that looks like. And what I'm currently using it for is just writing highlights. I thought I would use it to plan, but it didn't work so well. And now this has just become like, this is like extra highlight. If it's like a really positive memory, then I'll highlight it. And it's very minimally decorated, and I also track when I post to Instagram. But yeah, this is way too big, and I don't like seeing 2 weeks on one page. So very quickly after using it, I was very disappointed in myself that I didn't like it. But I'm still trying to make it work, and it's just really good experimenting for now. But because I didn't like the week per page, what I did start trying to do, because there are so many pages left in this book, like it'll last so long. Did I write? No. What I started doing was, this is my planning page, so it looks really messy. I'm just using like vellum offcuts and post-it note glue to like stick it on there so I can just move things around. This is very extra, but I'm trying to use up these vellum offcuts that I know I'll never use if I don't do this, but this is just really fun to plan. I can like move things around. Ideally, I would update this as I go and kind of check it throughout the week, but mostly it just helps me plan out my week at the beginning of the week, and then I'll fill it out at the end of the week so that I just have a good overview of what my week was like. But this was last week, so because I didn't like having a week per page, I started just dedicating the whole spread to 1 week. So as you can see, the dates are the same. And this side, I continue to write the highlights, random highlights, and just like exercise stuff. And then on this side, I decided to write down business things like Patreon, really, and also other, like social events, family events, and also tracking Instagram. So this is more of like the business side, and this is more of the personal highlight side. It's okay. I don't love this, but again, I just still really need to use up these pages. I don't like leaving unfinished books. So I'm going to be using this next year as well. And I guess I'll keep figuring out what works for me. But it's okay. It's not the worst, but it's working really well for planning. So I like to like plan this out, and then what I do is then I go into my daily and then I write it out. Like I'll pre-stamp the pages, and then I will write it ahead of time, or I'll use a post-it note if I'm not super sure. This is the back of a post-it note. But yeah, I like seeing the week at a glance first and then transferring that to my dailies, because checking this throughout the week doesn't really work for me. Again, this is just like my little workhorse. This is really only what I check throughout the week, so I can't have multiple like tasks spread out, but this is a great starting point, and then I move everything to here. So yes, when I finish this, then I will look at getting something a little bit smaller. I do like the other Muji planner where it's like the month and the week. I think it's the week on 2 pages for the A6, I'm not sure. But yes, the same thing with the monthly. I just can't make it work. I don't know why, and I can't update it often. I started using it as just like a typical calendar for like Patreon deadlines, when bills are due, if I had like a call or social events. I tried using it for that. June was kind of a hectic month, so I didn't even really fill it out properly. And then in July, I tried using it for highlights. I got this idea from Maddie, and I just liked the idea of like seeing your month at a glance, seeing all your highlights. I probably should have just stuck to like 1 highlight a day, but I couldn't decide sometimes, so I ended up writing like 2 or 3. And then I liked having the highlights on the side, but then I also tried to like still use it as a regular calendar, and then I would run out of space. And then these stickers I think were for bills. Again, I'm just throwing things at the wall and trying to see what sticks. But it was okay, and I kind of liked the look of it. I thought it was kind of cute, but then it felt really repetitive over time to write down the highlights in the weeks. And then again in the month, it felt repetitive. And I think because I was literally writing the exact same things instead of just choosing one thing. So then I thought I would try just using it as an expense calendar, just to like write down when I buy things for the business, and then I can review this at the end of the month. So I started using it for highlights, and then I just switched to using it as a expense calendar with like bills and other random stuff. But it was okay. It didn't really work again. Still tried to use it as an expense calendar, and then I changed the side to be tasks for the month. But I didn't like this. I really preferred having the highlights, so I think I went back to that for November highlights. And then I don't know what this is. I think I just kind of gave up, and I'm going to have to go back and fill everything in. But I think I'm going to try to just choose one thing for the day. And maybe it's a hybrid of like jobs, like social stuff, like Sydney Maid Market. I'm probably not going to put expenses anymore on here. Again, I'm still trying to figure it out. I really have no idea what my system is. But I was counting the pages again yesterday, and I realized that this is not going to be used up until, what did I write? January 2026. So yeah, I'm going to have this for 2 years. It's a lot, but I'm committed. I really want to use it up. As you notice, I've started drawing these lines on a whim because I thought I could use these to plan each week. I don't necessarily need this anymore, I don't think. I thought I was going to plan out like my social media, like content calendar, YouTube videos and stuff like that. But because I will have this until 2026, I figured that this would work much better as a highlights journal. I don't love the idea of it, but like it's kind of weird to use it for anything else because then I won't check it. So I might just keep this as like a monthly highlights journal. So once November is over, fresh slate, I'm going to just write down 1 to 2. I'm not going to push it too hard. Highlight for every day. And if there's no highlight for that day, that's fine. I'll just stick a sticker on. Just keep it really simple. But maybe this will be really nice. And I'll do the list of highlights here. Maybe this will be really nice to look back on because then I'll have like 3 years worth of monthly highlights from like 2023 to halfway through 2023 until 2025, the end of 2025. So that's not something I would want as a long-term solution, even though I'm stuck with this until January 2026. But that's what I'm going to try to do with this planner until then. Unfortunately, I did buy 2 of each. But I haven't used the other one, so I'm either going to try to like give that away to someone or sell it. But this is my weekly and monthly from Muji. These were so cheap. I think they were only $1 or $2. I got these in Japan, but they're pretty much the same price from Australia. I think they're $1.50. So in terms of like affordability, it's amazing. It's just the size doesn't work for me. I think I really prefer A6. A6? This is pretty much A6. Yeah, this is an A6 planner. A6, pocket, whatever. This passport kind of size. So these two aren't working that well, but got to finish it up. Okay, and these two are the ones that I said are relatively new planners. Not new in terms of like just bought them or anything, but in terms of me using them. So I've had this for a really long time, several years. This is from uni days. I'm pretty sure that was like 2015, 2014. I was in uni, trying to juggle like that's a management course. I was in my third year of uni, maybe. Anyway, that's a lot of uni tasks. I still have the post-it notes in there because of course I'm going to eventually use the back because I cannot throw away paper scraps. I don't like this journal because the lines are so big. I really don't like the lines of it. I prefer cream colored paper as well. The paper itself is fine. It's just the lines are just so big and I find them not very nice to look at. I should explain what I'm using it for. So again, this is an old journal that I'm trying to use up, but I started this as more of a personal journal to decorate and put photos in to talk about memories. And then I just dropped off. I think I just forgot about this journal like completely. And then because my morning pages got simpler and simpler, like I used to decorate my morning pages quite a bit, but then I wanted morning pages just to be really simple writing, just brain dump, nothing creative in there. It's just a cleansing practice for my brain. And then I felt like I had nowhere else to decorate stuff. And pictures didn't really go well with morning pages because I wasn't trying to document in the morning pages. So I really tried to like squeeze everything in to the morning pages, and it evolved over time because it just wasn't working as well. But recently, like in the last few weeks, I wanted a place where I could document moments, like tiny little moments from my life that are nice memories because I don't really have anywhere to put it. And I have a terrible memory. Like I really just can't remember things. And I think this is why I plan so much, because I honestly, it would take me so long if you ask me what I did yesterday. I would have to really think about it. But because I have this daily planner, I've got pretty much a snapshot of my entire day. And it's not like I look back at it often, but it just helps me just like fight my brain a little bit more, like fight my memory loss. my memory is really good with some things and then just really terrible with other things, but because life just moves so fast for everyone, it's just really nice to document moments that might not seem that important in the moment, but in retrospect is like just a really, really sweet memory. So, yeah, I've just been printing pictures on scrap pieces of paper, of course, and sticking them in here. But what I really like about this is that I don't have to do it in the moment. It doesn't have to be a current thing. Like I don't know how to describe this properly, but it's like retroactive journaling. So I'll print out a bunch of pictures from the past week. I'll cut them out and I'll just stick them in there. I actually have some to write about later. So this is from the 6th of November. It's the 18th of November. I still haven't written about this. This is not ideal. Obviously, I'd like to write about it within the week. But looking at these pictures, I can already see what the memory is about. And normally these pictures would just like live on my camera roll, or I wouldn't even take these pictures normally. It'd be really easy for me to just dismiss, like look over these memories and forget about it. But again, if it stays in my mind, it's not going to stay in my mind. So these are pictures I all printed out at the same time. Again, I can look at this instantly and I know exactly what I'm going to talk about because I'm going to talk about mixing nail polish, I'm pretty sure. But that's from the 4th of November. And then here's another one. Oh, this is not too private, but I just stuck in a random receipt. So it's like semi-junk journaling if I want to put random things that don't really go anywhere else. I cut that off from a packaging. Again, I want to keep it kind of simple, but it would be nice to use some stickers as a way to use it up. But mostly I just want it for photos. I'm really behind on this. This is not ideal again. I need to catch up on my journaling, but I never really had a place for these photos before, so it's just super nice to be able to print it out and write about it. That's talking about the Midori planner that I started. That was the first day I started it. Like little lunch things with Kevin, starting my Commonplace journal. I know some people combine this in the Commonplace journal, but I think I need it separate because my brain just likes to categorize and compartmentalize everything. I need it separate. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's the Huskies down the road. Screaming their hearts out. They do that every day. It's hilarious. But yeah, this is what I call the life archives, and I'm just sticking in random ephemera. I'm just letting this evolve. I'm not sure, but I'm calling this the life archives. I'm just going to print out photos and stick in random things. This is from my tote bags, so I'm probably going to journal about that. This is probably the creative scrapbooky memories archive book, so I'm keeping that separate from morning pages, and I feel like that works really well. But again, I hate this notebook, so I cannot wait to use it up. Ideally, hopefully, I think I should be able to. I'm going to use it up by the end of the year because I just want to be done with this book, but I will be continuing this because I do like this. Like, it's just really nice to, I think it's just a really nice way to memory keep, and it's just, I just love to write, so just having another excuse to just like ramble on about certain memories is really, really nice. But yes, this is going to continue in 2024. And the very last thing, which is probably the newest thing, is my Commonplace journal, which I really thought I would never start a Commonplace journal. But of course, like other people, I started watching Megan Rhiannon videos and it was just so soothing. And I found that like the first time I heard about the Commonplace journals, like listening to her describe it, I just really didn't think I needed it. Like there's not really anything that I want to write down because I'm always quite torn between digital and analog. Like it's like my logical and my emotional side kind of warring with each other, because I'm like, if there's anything informational like research that I want to record, it makes sense for that to go into Notion, which I'm going to talk about a little bit later, what my plans are for Notion and how I'm currently using it. But it didn't make sense. I was like, if I want to write down a book quote, that's going in Notion so that I can easily, copy and paste, refer to it later. It just made sense. But what I wasn't accounting for was the fact that like, it's an art form to write things down and you remember things differently, and it's just beautiful. And I was like depriving myself of joy because that's just me in a nutshell. I'm just very good at like trying to justify everything and use my time efficiently. I'm a type 1 Enneagram, if you know what that is, so that probably makes a lot of sense to you. But I've been, giving myself permission to just enjoy myself a little bit more with planners and like not trying to justify everything. Like it doesn't have to have a purpose in order for me to do it. Like sometimes just doing things for the sake of it being fun is enough, which sounds really obvious, but but for me, it's really hard to like remind myself to relax and just enjoy myself. So anyway, this is my Commonplace journal. This is just a simple moleskin. This is again a notebook from my friend. It's getting really dirty. But I really like the size of it and I love the pages. Look at the spacing of those lines. I love the color of the pages. So I think because I like it so much, I might just make all of the Commonplace journals the same one. I really like the idea of having like different volumes and they're all the same notebook. I love the size of it. I didn't even know what size this is. This is a strange size, but yeah, I like it. I just stuck on this label that again I got from Maddie because there was a branding here. I forgot what company it is already, but I stuck that on top and I really like how that looks. Just really simple. But yes, my Commonplace journal is not really personal at all. Okay, so it took me the longest time to figure out what I wanted for my Commonplace journal, and then I realized I just need to start using it and then I'll figure it out. But I did start with just a really basic key. This will probably evolve over time, but I wanted it basically for random thoughts throughout the day that I didn't really have a place to put. So sometimes I want to write more things that don't fit in my little like pocket daily journal task thing. So I thought maybe this would be nice if I had a little epiphany or a thought that was on my mind that, you know, won't go in the morning pages because that's only in the morning, a little morning exercise. It wouldn't go in my life archives because this is meant to be like documenting memories and events. And again, no space for this. So I thought it'd be perfect for this, personal thoughts. But it evolved and I don't really use it for personal thoughts as much as I thought, and not for business stuff either. I mean, I still use it for that and I think it still works really well, but I'm not going to put not any personal memory photos in here. I think this is more just like my brain archives. I need to label everything, but I think the idea for me is why this works for me is because I want to see how I evolve over time. And I think this is just like things that I normally wouldn't write down have just been so great to put in here. And some of this stuff I would normally put in Notion. But there's, again, just a joy, a thrill to just writing it down. And sometimes I will write it in Notion and then also write it down on paper, which I'll get into. I'm getting ahead of myself. But I thought I would use it more for personal things like this. But that was before. Oh, I just contradicted myself. So this must have came first. And then this came because I realized I didn't want this in here. This is like a really cute character, what do you call it, personality test that I did from this design festival. And I just loved it so much that I love personality tests, but I just loved the vibe of it. Like I sometimes, it's kind of egotistical, but sometimes I love these personality tests to remind myself like who I am, because I can get so in my head about like the kind of person that I am that I forget. And then reading this like really just grounds me again and gives me clarity. Like I'm not soft-spoken at all, but yes, I'm a thinker. I seek peace. I'm determined. I'm independent. I'm definitely secretive and a monochrome artist. But yeah, this was nice, but I realized it belonged much better in my life archives. So I think this is how this came about, because I realized actually I don't want to put photos or like personal memories like this in here. I want this to be like a knowledge book. So I'm going to, if I did it again, this would go into here, but that is fine there. So yes, just business. I wanted to separate Planned by Jysla and other business notes. I haven't really used these at all. And I know these colors are really similar, but I had like circle stickers I wanted to use up. But these three are the main ones that I use, and they've been working really well. So I've got a margin, but I don't use it to add side notes the way most people do. I use it to write down like a little heading of what that section is about. So I can see instantly without needing to scan through this that this is about using things up. And this is about why I started this book. So for me, my brain works better for this. If I have a topic I'm going to talk about, then I'll write it there and I'll underline it. So it kind of serves the same purpose, but sometimes I don't know what I'm talking about until I start writing. Like I don't really have a clear thought yet. So it's really nice to add it afterwards. This is my first attempt to put like a business related thing in here. This is about commonplacing. Again, at a glance, I can see it. or if I underline it, I can tell I'm talking about like pen refills because my brain was like fixating on that at the moment. I really like to date things. I know people don't always date things in their Commonplace journals, but like I need everything dated because sometimes I wonder like, oh, when did I write that? Like, when did I have this thought? So it's really nice for that. This is about the movie Meet Cute. I did not expect to be writing like movie thoughts or reviews, but this one kind of stuck with me. It was a very surprising movie, and this is a quote that I really like from it, which is really simple, but it just, in the context of the movie, it was really, really sweet and it made me cry. But it's okay for things to be a little messy sometimes. And I think as a type 1, this is like the most important reminder because ones are very, like, we just have such a strong tendency to keep everything in control. Like, everything has to be perfect and in control and structured, that like it's okay for things to be a little messy sometimes. But I was just talking about like, I mean, don't read it because of spoilers, but it is a dark kind of romantic comedy and it was very surprising. It started off really weird and I didn't think I would like it, but it ended up kind of being like Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. Yeah, and I really liked it. This was about a study. I don't have a title here. This is not good, but I can see that it's University of Tokyo. So this is about a study done in Japan about how people are shown to actually remember things better, like recall things better when they write it down on paper. And I just thought it was very fitting that I wrote it down here. Writing things, sorry, I didn't even complete my sentence. They recall things better when they write things down on paper versus writing things down on their iPad or typing it. So that was another case for why commonplacing would be, again, my type 1 brain trying to justify why I should be writing it down instead of just like, hey, you enjoy it, just do it. Like I need to be able to justify it because I feel uneasy otherwise. But yes, even if, you know, I have this quote in Notion, I won't necessarily remember the quote or absorb the quote or process the quote in the same way. So writing it down is like a whole different act of like processing it in your brain. And also I just really like writing. I find writing really therapeutic. So an excuse to write also. So I was experimenting here because it's kind of part of the same thing, which is like personal thoughts, but it's a quote. So maybe that'll draw my attention, I was thinking, while I was flipping through the pages. And I can see that, oh, there's a quote there, if I am looking for quotes. But I don't know. This is on Staying on Track, commonplacing again, another quote. I will do a proper flip through of commonplacing as I fill it out, because it's going to take a while, but I have been using it much more than I thought. And I've been really, really, really enjoying it. So I'm going to continue using this for the rest of the year. I don't think I'm going to finish this by the end of the year, and that's okay because it's not a dated thing. It's just a volume. It doesn't matter when I started. It doesn't matter when I finish. It's just a collection of thoughts over time. Because the year is arbitrary anyway, coming from a person that has like dedicated year stuff. But yes, this is like my newfound addition, my new addition to the planner lineup. And I'm going to continue using this. And I love it so much. And I feel like it's a bit dramatic to call it life-changing, but it kind of has been. And it's been a really unexpected one for me. So still going to use this in 2024. But let me show you my new planners for 2024. Oh, that is heavy. If you hear my stomach, by the way, I'm very sorry. It is 1:40 p.m. and that's kind of my lunchtime. I don't know why I decided to start filming this. I was just really excited to talk about planners. But yes, my stomach is making noises. Hopefully you can't hear it. So these they're not all different planners. I need to explain. So let me kind of take this out. Oh my god, I'm dropping things everywhere. Okay, so this is pretty much what I will be using next year. Again, very, very simple, all fairly accessible, I think, and these two were these three were pretty expensive, but they're all kind of different. I don't really stick to like a single brand, but I'm going to go through it. So this will be my replacement for this. Again, similar size. And I thought I would just go into another notebook. But as I said, I started this September 18th and I'm going to be finishing this December 12th, as I've written here, give or take a few days, but I will finish around December 12th. And I don't like how that's only a few months. I don't like having to use, it doesn't make a difference, but I don't like having multiple planners for the one thing in the year, like using up 4 journals in 1 year. Like I much would rather have, what is my sentence? I would much rather have, is that what I said? That sounds fine. I would much rather have a single planner for the entire year. And part of me is freaking out a little bit because I'm like, oh my God, what if I change my mind? I won't like it. But my daily tasks are a proven system. Like it just works really well. I just need somewhere to write my daily to-do lists. I didn't know this existed. This is a Moleskine planner. Let me get rid of everything else because you can't see. So this is a Moleskine 2024 daily pocket planner. This is the soft cover, which I like. I'm a big fan of soft covers, not hard covers. But this got delivered like a month ago and I've just been like touching it and staring at it. It's a chunky little boy, but it's, I love it. It's just so simple and I'm not going to decorate it, maybe just with a photo. I don't know. I'm just going to leave it for now. I love Moleskine or Moleskine because it's just so simple and unfussy. I feel like it's just so clean and simple. It's not really trying to be anything. And the paper, I've always really liked the paper. I know some people don't. But this is what the pages look like. Sunday's the only day without a time thing, but I don't really use that. It's just very simple. Like it's already dated for me. I normally don't like dated planners at all, but I am going to be using this pretty much every single day. So this just makes it so easy to plan ahead. Like if I know something's going to happen on that day, I could write it in here so that when I get to that day, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. Like I'll probably be planning it in my weekly and monthly as well, but the thing that sold me was like the fact that it's all one, like it's 1 year in one single journal. I love that, but also that there's like the weather down here because I track the weather. I really like seeing like the temperature and seeing like how much I got done relative to the weather because I feel like the weather really affects me. But something that I've also done, I spent this morning doing, was sticking these like little Instagram stickers that I have. These are like the seconds ones, so I just stuck them in pretty much for every single day of January. Usually I only like to stick it in when I'm going to Instagram for that day, but I just decided just stick it on every single day and I can just draw a line to indicate that I didn't post anything that day. But yeah, I really like the simple layout. I love the lines. I love how small it is. But I think this is going to be such an amazing replacement. It's going to be so easy. I can carry this around everywhere. And I love that I'll be able to look back at anything throughout the year, like at the beginning of the year. Whereas with this one, it only started from September. So I have no idea like what my lists are from the beginning of the year. Again, not like I need to check it that often, but yeah, I love it. This is like the thing that I'm like most excited for because it's just so functional and so simple. I think there was like a yellow or beige cover. If there was like a beige sandstone kind of soft off-white color, I would have loved that. But I just love how simple this is. This is just me in a notebook. So this is going to be my new daily tasks planner for the entire year. And I can keep that all together. I love that. The very next thing. So this is new. This is a new planner. Every time I see this on Instagram, I just fall in love with it. The person I follow on Instagram that does really, really nice spreads is Y Stars Fall. But her spreads are so pretty and it's just so simple. But I think what I initially bought it for was highlights. I wanted to do highlights, especially now that like I don't really have a place to do creative journaling. Like more aesthetics over the writing because my planners and journals are more writing heavy. But this came about because I was experimenting. This is the second one. I think the other one is on my shelf somewhere and I can't be bothered getting it. But I started experimenting with doing like little creative journaling like this and it worked, but then I kind of fell off as well. That's supposed to be retroactive, but I didn't do it. But I liked the idea of more creative spreads over the writing. And it's just a great way to use up paper scraps, which don't really go anywhere else. Like I might use it a little bit in my life archives, but I still want to finish this, so I will work on trying to finish this for the rest of the year. But I actually have already started this because there's like 360, I think 8 pages, 366 or 368. But I knew I wasn't going to journal every single day. And I think it's so cute as like a to-do list thing as well. Like it's almost the same, like it serves the same purpose as this almost, so I could use it functionally. We shall see. Maybe 2025 I will use this as my daily. It's a little bigger though. This is just so much cuter. But yeah, I started this on the 1st of November. And I just started doing really simple spreads, and this is just so fun to look back on. Again, I've never really done anything like this before, except in the little pocket journals that I was, sorry, not pocket, passport. I think that's the size. Again, not really deep into the planner community, so I'm still learning the terms, but started November 1st, I did 2nd, 3rd. I got really into it on the first 3 days, but I knew that I wasn't going to be doing it every single day. Didn't do it again until November 9th. But it's just a nice way to write little snippets of the day. But this is more about, I guess, not so much for looking back on, but just to enjoy. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't think I will look back so much at the highlights because it's not a really efficient way of looking back at every single day. But it's just really nice to flip back through. So I'm emphasizing aesthetics a little bit more in this. Writing down the weather because of course I can't resist. But I mean, even though it's still, like I said, more aesthetic, I definitely am still writing quite a bit. But this is just very satisfying for me to flip through already, just a couple of days. And I was working on these calendars and I stuck it in here. So this feels like it would be like in the life archive. So I don't really have a clear like lines between my journal yet. I'm just experimenting. But I have not written in here since November 10th. And it's, again, November 18th. So I knew I wasn't going to journal every single day, so I wanted to start a little bit earlier so I could finish it by the end of next year. But this is like a no pressure journal. I just kind of fill it out when I want to. It's just really cute and really fun to use. There are monthly calendars at the front, and I don't know what I'm going to use these for because it's pretty small. So initially I wanted to put the month highlights in here before I decided that I was going to use the Muji one. But because this is only for 2024, I might just replicate it. Like, that seems silly to write it twice, but if this is the 2024 highlights journal, it would make sense to put the monthly highlights in here, but also write it in here so I can look back on it for the other years. I don't know. Do you write down like double, like do you write things down twice? Because I feel like I do that quite a lot, but I think that's what I'm going to do because nothing else really makes sense here. I don't really care for events, I don't think, in here. I think I just want this to be monthly highlights, and I don't really have much space to write. So I've already decorated December because I couldn't help myself. Whoa, how did that happen? But yeah, that's just going to be monthly highlights, kind of similar to what I wrote in here, but like no pressure, just have fun. This is like my fun creative journal, using up random stickers that I probably wouldn't use anywhere else. It's definitely more cutesy because my style is like more of like the vintage style. Like that would be typical for me, but like I find these stickers really fun and cute to use as well. It's my own sticker. Am I allowed to say that? But yeah, like I have stickers that I just don't really use anywhere else, and it just works so well in this journal. So yeah, that's my Midori, and that's my like 1 day per page kind of random daily-ish highlights. That's what I'm going to be using in 2024. And again, like I said, I'm going to be using the weekly and monthly reluctantly, but I'm really trying to use this up. And then so my life archives was in this journal, but once I use up this journal, ideally this year, I'm hoping to finish all this or close to the end of the year. Once this is done, I'll need a journal for next year. And I literally just decided before recording this video that I think I'm going to use this. So this is really random. I need to give a little bit of background context. I bought this back in 2019, and I think I bought it towards the end of the year, and it was on sale from like a bookstore because it was the end of the year. Nobody wanted it anymore. It's a milligram journal, and it's actually so beautiful. I love the paper. I love the layout of it, and I didn't end up finishing it in 2019 because I bought it at the end of the year, but I figured that it's just kind of good as a journal. It kind of looks like the Hobonichi now that I'm looking at it. But I was just using it for like to-do lists, like just anything really. This is This was from 2019. Yeah, as you can see, I'm just using lists. This is when I'm still like working out of my mum's studio, but this was for product photos. Did this just fall out? I think it just did. Okay, I will throw that away. I did this for product photos, but I thought it was so cute the way it looked. So yeah, I'm just going to use it as blank paper. I'm going to ignore the dates. It doesn't really matter. It looks nice anyway. But I bought it, I think, for like $5. I think it was really, really cheap. So I really just liked it as a planner. But I think I like the idea of just having 1 year for the life archives. Like this entire book is going to be all my memories for 2024. No idea if I can fill it up. It's going to get really chunky. But yeah, the fact that I'm not using it for the dates works for me because I'm not planning to write in it every single day. It's going to be the same format to this. So this is going to be what I'm going to use in 2024 to try to use up this journal because it's going to be 5 years old. And I think, yeah, the paper's really, really nice. And I like the dot grid. I like the spacing. So this is going to be my life archives for 2024. Okay, and the last thing is my morning pages. So I have 3 here because, wait, this is the wrong one. That's my current morning pages. Oh, this is not the last thing. I lied. I just saw another planner. I forgot. So I bought this in Japan. Again, I saw this from Maddie. She influences me so much. I just fall in love with everything that she uses. We have very similar like style and aesthetic, so I feel like we're drawn to the same things. But I thought this was just like so incredibly beautiful and simple and fascinating to me. Like I haven't seen such simple design before. But like that's it. That's beautiful. I just stuck a little flower Herbie sticker on here because it's just, I don't know, it just makes me happy. But I bought this because honestly, I didn't know why I wanted to buy it. It just was so beautiful and I was in Japan and I knew I wanted it. The paper is so thin, but I decided I'm going to use this for morning pages. And it feels like overkill because like I said, morning pages aren't anything fancy. They don't really need to be anything fancy, but like this is just going to be such an experience to use for morning pages. And I feel like I've earned this. Like I feel like I've worked really hard to use up old notebooks for morning pages that like I deserve to have something that just feels like such an experience when I'm writing. So yeah, this has 300 and I think this is the one with 366 pages or something similar. I don't know. But because I write on 2 pages for a single day, it's not going to be enough for the entire year. It's only going to be enough for 6 months worth, which is fine. I know I said I don't like using multiple journals, but I think like at most 2, like every 6 months or just 1 journal for the entire year. So this was only going to last me 6 months. So I needed something else, which works well because I still had these 2 journals to use up from my collection. Again, these aren't mine. These are from my friend. She gave me like 6 to 8, somewhere around there, notebooks. They were all nice little simple, some moleskin ones, which were nice. I think this is moleskin. Yeah, this is not a moleskin journal, but I think I stuck this on here because I was trying to block the branding underneath. I don't think I like this. I might just rip it off and stick something else here. I mean, mindfulness journal kind of works, but I'll just stick a sticker there. I don't know. I'm just leaving it for here for now. But this is quite nice, actually. I don't mind this. I like the paper. I like the margins. I'm not going to be able to fit as much writing, but I like the spacing of it. And the paper's nice and thin as well. This is going to be these 2 together. If my counting was correct, it should last me the first 6 months of the year. Okay, here we go. So I counted 87 pages, like 87 double spread pages. Estimated start January 1st until March 31st, around April 16th. So just depending on like, again, the Sundays, maybe some days I don't write it. I gave myself a little buffer, but I'm estimating to finishing it around March or April. So I'm going to start with this. I just stuck a photo to block this design on the back that I didn't like. And then after I finish this one, I'm going to move to this journal. Still need to find, I really like the idea of just sticking a photo on top. So I'm just going to find something to print there. This one is a moleskin. It's a hardcover, which I don't love. I prefer the soft covers, but it is blank, which is slightly annoying. But I can use like I printed off like the pencil board thing. I don't mind too much because if I have the lines on the back, I can write. But the paper is lovely. So I'm going to use this January to April, and then this one from, what did I write? 126 pages estimated from April 16th to July 31st, which is kind of perfect because then I will start this from August 1st until the rest of the year. My numbers might be off a little bit, but anyway, that's my morning pages journal. Again, it's a consistent system. It's something that I know I will use often, and I just want something simple for it. So just like standard black notebooks works really well. I'm really excited to use this Stalogy because it's just so beautiful. It'd be so beautiful to have all my Stalogies like in morning pages. It feels like a waste because I feel like I'm eventually going to throw out my morning pages. I mean, I say that, but I'm not going to do that unless I like really run out of space. I'm just kind of keeping everything for now, but I don't like the idea of like having too many journals just like kept around. I don't want to have to like store so many of them, but okay. And now the very last thing, which is the newest edition, a very last minute new edition. This is a Midori plain notebook that I bought in Japan. It was a pack of 3. No idea why I wanted this. I just really liked their paper. It was really cheap, and I knew that like if anything I was just going to use it for morning pages as well. I've already creased the cover. This is why I'm not good with, I just need something simple that I don't mind ruining a little bit because I don't want to have to be precious with my notebooks. I just want something that works for me. But this was not in the plans. This was not on the cards to have. But I was creating a vision board and I was thinking like, where do I put this vision board? Like I actually have no idea where to put it. I wanted a place to write down my goals and I just wasn't sure where to put it down. And that led me like down the rabbit hole of thinking of the idea of having like a complete 2024 journal, just a year journal. And I love the idea of having like a little summary of your year. So this is going to be just my planner for 2024. And it'd be so nice to be able to look through this and see your highlights and your goals and everything you achieved for the year, like what your mood board was for the year. Like it's just not so much a productivity planner, but kind of just like a summary of the year. Because again, like I think a lot of things in my brain, but I don't necessarily write it all down because in the moment it doesn't feel important enough to write down. And so like reflecting on my progress tends to be kind of difficult because I just don't have a set place for everything. But yes, I will set this up in a future video, but this is what I've got planned. So letter to future self, I thought that'd be really nice to read at the end of the year. Like write once, don't read it until the very end of the year to see like maybe I had an important goal that I wanted to achieve, or like this is my mindset at the time. So it's just nice to see like where I'm at. And at the end, I will have kind of another letter to self, but like reflecting on how my year was. So I feel like that bookends it really well. And then I will put my mood board here, 2024 goals, 2024 intentions. In the other video, I'll go into it, but this is like more vague, like themes, like how you want yourself to show up for the year, but this is more concrete, measurable goals. Quarterly plans, reviews, quarterly plan and review, one for each quarter. Social media stats, again, just a nice way, concise way to see everything in your year at a glance. Monthly income, tracking that because I have it all in Notion, but I think it would just be nice to have a summary book. Again, it'd be so nice to be able to look back on in the future. Favorite books read that year. Use up list is like list of products or things that I use up because again, I'm really into using things up. So it's like my way of celebrating little small wins of something that I've held on to a long time that I finally used up or got rid of. So this will be my use up list. So favorite new products will be like my products that I've created for the shop. And again, just a nice way to maybe celebrate progress and celebrate small wins. Like I don't have something for this year, but it would have been nice to have like washi tapes and tote bags. Like it's just really nice to look back on at a glance, like an overview of a year. So this is favorite new shop products that I've created. Habits, learnings, and growth, another, kind of new addition. Similar to what I wrote in my Commonplace journal, but I guess it's like going to be a repeat of what's in here, but it's going to be a summary. So Commonplace will have everything else in it, but this will have just kind of a list of certain dates and maybe like an epiphany I had. Because again, like if I had to remember when I came up with a new habit that I was working on, or like really developed a habit or a new way of thinking or just an epiphany about myself, I don't know when those things happen unless I go back to my morning pages and try to find it. So I thought this was like a nice summary page of like how my mind progressed over the year, like my learnings and just like my personal development, just a summary page of my personal development. Mostly because my memory is so shocking that this is just a really nice way to summarize it all and present it. Monthly highlights, I will put it over 2 pages. So I'll probably have like just a section for each month. And then I'll also do month plan. I'm not going to go into that, but I've pretty much just left a page for every single month. And then I will have, that's the end of it. I have 2 pages left that I don't know what to use for. I'll figure it out, but I'll figure it out later. But then it's 2024 highlights in pictures. I will print out pictures to summarize my year, just the highlights for the year. And then again, I think that'll go over 2 pages. I'm not sure. Again, I still have to figure it out. Nothing's concrete just yet, and I might just like leave this post-it note here until the end of the year. But again, the very last page is letter to self. How was my year? This is from Japan. But that is my 2024 overview planner. I thought this would be really nice to just have a dedicated place for highlights and goals from the year, because I don't really have a nice place for it. But let me put everything together. I'm just going to choose one of the morning pages journal. But the 2024 planner, my morning pages, my Commonplace journal, which I'm still going to use the same one, my life archives for the photos, my weekly and monthly from Muji, my daily highlights, the Midori journal, and my daily pocket moleskin for to-do list. This seems so extra and I'm low-key a little embarrassed, but I feel like it really just ticks off everything on my list, and it fulfills all my needs. Like, I can't believe I went from one planner to like, what is this? 4, this counts as 1. So 4, 5, 6 to 7 planners. But I've been experimenting over the past few years, and I feel like it has evolved to this, and it really makes sense. So it's a mix of like aesthetic, fun, and functional. Mostly functional, I hope. But it's an exciting year for me, because it's the first time that I really am using new planners. Like, these are my new ones. And that's my reward. That was my reward in Japan for like committing to my journey of using up old notebooks, old stickers that I felt like, you know what, I think I need to treat myself, because my stash of old notebooks is actually, it's dwindling. The amount is dwindling that I like feel like I actually needed new planners. So, I mean, this one is technically new as well, but I'm not that excited to use that. So this is my Techo Kaigi for 2024, my planner lineup. It's a good mix of old and new. You know, I'm still using up some old stuff. And I'm curious to see how it goes. I will do like a mid-year Techo Kaigi as well, because one thing I know for sure about me is that I do change my mind quite often with planner things, and I think that's normal, because what works really well for us in the moment might not work well for us like 2 months down the road. Like, our planners should adapt to our life journey, different life stages. Why am I struggling so much with this? Okay. It should adapt with us. So it's kind of fun to see how it all evolves, but this feels like planner piece to me. I feel like I've reached this point where like everything serves the exact purpose that I want, and it just feels so like, I feel so content. It feels so right, and I'm just so happy and excited to use it all. Like, this is all very similar to what I'm using right now, except for this highlights journal. But that is everything. That was my planner lineup for 2024. Thank you so much for watching. I'm starting to lose my voice. I'm kind of amazed that my like phone didn't cut out on me while I was recording. Let me know if you have any questions, anything about the journals in particular that I didn't answer. Again, I'm going to do a more detailed Commonplace like video, like flip through. I think it'll be nice to do a flip through every few months, every month here and there, to just talk about how it's going for me, because I think this is I think this will evolve over time, but I will also do that 2024 overview planner. I will do a setup video, and I'll go into that in a little bit more detail, setting up those pages. But I think everything else is pretty simple, and I'm just looking forward to recording and bringing you more planner videos, because I am definitely in my like planner journaling era. Like, I've always been a planner, I've always been a journaler, but this is the first time that I really feel like I've found the systems that work for me, like, and I've reached planner peace. It's very, very content with it all, and it's all very exciting. But that is everything. I would love to know what your planner lineup is, and if you're using any of these particular things, if you're using similar systems to me. But I think that's it. I think I covered everything. Actually, I didn't talk about my digital stuff. Maybe I'll have to go into that in another video, because I feel like this is getting quite long already. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it interesting, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!